But I always found it hard to really sit down and work on writing at a computer. I never liked that. It's just it's distracting. I mean, a computer can do so many things that to just sit there and write, it's just a level of focus that I just couldn't consistently maintain. And still can't really. I find instead of trying to will yourself to action day after day after day because it just eventually breaks down and you eventually fail. For me, what's easier is to remove options. That really helps a lot. Like if I just don't have the option to do something else, if I don't have other things that I need to actively resist, then there we go. You know, the battle's half won. So what really helped with my writing productivity has been smartphones. Because portable writing was very hard to do before them. There was, of course, just the notepad in the pocket thing, which for rough notes is pretty good, except later you got to transcribe it. And at some point, laptops became a thing, and that was helpful, obviously. But even still, it's like you've still got to put this thing in a book bag and take it with you. But with the cell phone thing, I did get a shit ton of writing done. Like that's when it became like I'm at least writing every day. I am doing something every day. Because I got this phone, it's because I helped a guy edit a video in like 2010, I think it was. And I just did it because I was like, yeah, I'll help you out with this thing. But he's like, hey, you know what? Since you edited that video for me, would you like my old smartphone? Because I didn't have one. So I got this phone. It was a 2010 Motorola Droid that has like a little keyboard that slides out. And then they made a couple of more models of that phone, and they eventually stopped making them. Which is a shame because the little keyboard is key. Like maybe you could write consistently with a touchscreen, but I can't. I don't like touchscreens. I just have a hard time with them. But yeah, this phone, it's got the little keyboard. You can get a little file manager program so you can just, scroll through different directory structures, make folders, whatever, and just get a little text edit program. I think the one I use is actually just called Text Edit. And you can just write, and it's great. You can just write little files and organize them and cut and paste them together, break them back apart. All the stuff that I need for a first, second draft can all be done on this phone. And it seems a little weird to just type with your thumbs on this little keyboard, but I find it's just fine. Like I got used to it, and I'm not about writing fast. I can write relatively fast with it, but that's not how I function. That's just not. As I've said many times, speed is definitely not the best way to proceed. I don't think, not for writing fiction or nonfiction, not for any kind of writing. You just don't want it to be shoddy. So having this little phone in my pocket all the time was great because I could just pull it out anytime. If I'm on a streetcar or just at a coffee shop or like just sitting somewhere, I could just go sit on a rock, in the middle of nowhere. And I didn't have to pre-plan it all. It was just always there. And it's amazing how much work you can do in those little in-between moments in the day. It's like brewing a pot of coffee and you just got to catch one little drip at a time. Little drip here, little drip there. Next thing you know, you got a whole fucking pot full. And after that phone eventually deteriorated, what tends to happen is it's usually the screen that goes first. Like the touch screen goes haywire, so it's just always randomly it's as though you're just touching it at random times, and it really does make it pretty unusable. But it still takes a long time. Like, it'll take a few years before that. I think I'm on my 4th phone, so 2 or 3 years. And when I went and looked these things up on eBay, they're generally pretty cheap because it's an outdated phone that nobody wants. Like eventually there'll come a point where they're just hard to find. And it's a shame that those phones with the slide out keyboards are not very popular. They're pretty tough to find. Maybe they'll make a comeback, but that Motorola Droid brand in particular, I mean, for like 30 or 40 bucks, you can usually get one. Especially if you search for bad ESN, which just means that the phone can't be used as an actual cell phone. Maybe it got stolen or something, I guess, is usually the reason why such a thing happens. But I mean, what am I, the morality police from fucking 2011? Who cares? It's a super old phone that nobody wants anymore. And it's just so handy. It's just like a little computer just in your pocket all the time. And I always have like a couple of movies on it and some ebooks and stuff, just so, again, because I don't like to force myself. I just don't get good results that way. So if I am sitting there and it's like, okay, time to write, and I just can't do it, I just can't get myself over that hump. If I just watch like 10 minutes of a movie or read a bit of a book, I mean, I'll probably just get bored of that because I'm just like, I'm not really into this movie, or what is this book, And then I'll be like, I want to write. It's more fun than this other thing that I'm doing. But just a super handy device and so cheap and so useful. And it's really interesting to be on like a subway and to see that like everybody is on their phone. Everybody. They're on Facebook or they're playing a weird little Bejeweled game or something. So I'm just on my phone too, but I'm writing a book, like my Last of Us book, this big ass book about the video game The Last of Us. I basically wrote the whole thing on that phone until the end, when then I had to go in and, because I just use a basic text editor, I can't make, italics or anything. So at that point, it has to go onto a computer, and then publishing ebooks and websites and all that, obviously that's a computer thing, that's all separate. But for like 2 years that it took me to write that book, it was just on my phone. I just looked like a guy wandering around, I'm just like, I'll just go walk to the bus stop, get on the bus, get on a subway, go somewhere, go hike through the woods somewhere, go do whatever, go to the library, go to a coffee shop. But just at all the little in-between moments, I could just pull out my phone and do some work. And it's just so interesting, it's neat. Like when I see all these other people goofing around playing Simpsons Tapped Out and shit, and I'm like, man, you could be using this time to do something awesome. You could really be using this time to really do something, because you have this thing in your pocket that is a miracle, that is so amazing. And even though what I'm using it for is the most basic of all things, just a text editor and a directory, file explorer type thing, but that's all you need. Like, that's what you need to really do something. And it's so great because it eliminates that need to pre-plan, It's not like I gotta put my laptop in my book bag and leave the house with this distinct goal of like, I'm gonna go somewhere and do some writing. Just all this pressure of the situation that it's just so easy to just not do it. Just be like, I'm not gonna do it today. And that's all it takes. You just don't put the laptop in your book bag when you leave the house, and that's it. That day's burned, man. It's just not going to happen. The day's going to slip by and you're not going to do anything. Where when you've just got this nice little magical tiny little business card from the future in your pocket, there's really no excuse to not get something done at some point during that day. And that's all you got to do. You just got to get something done each day. And that's the facilitator. So, I would recommend giving it a shot, because again, it's not that expensive. Like for 30 or 40 bucks, you can get one of these things. Even if you have it in addition to your normal cell phone, that's fine. It can be your other phone. It can be your writing phone, because the little keyboard is very, very useful. Makes it much easier. And just see how it works. Like, it's worth the gamble just to see how it'll work. Just to see if it'll help you get more work done. And it's just made my life way more fun in general, because I love just going out and going on little urban hikes and going and exploring places and seeing whatever shit I can find in a city. And it's neat to combine these things, because this isn't me procrastinating. This isn't me not doing work. This is me heading toward work, and it doesn't matter where I'm going. It can be like, hey, look at that weird mountain. Let's go see if they can find a path to go there. Just look at a bus map and be like, oh, that looks cool. This bus goes to some weird bay. Let's just see what it's like. And all of these things are productive. Transit in general, I love now. Because there's never like I gotta get to a place. I don't want to get to the place. I want to take longer to get to the place, because I get so much work done on the way.